Welcome to the channel. I'm Billy D, and this is of course Done Different. And today I'll show you how to take your pool from this to this in less than a week. Now there are two different methods that you can use to get your pool clean and ready for the summer. You can either drain the pool, scrub it, clean it as you drain it, wash it out, drain it again, or you can run your pump for about 5, 6, 7 days or more, depending on how dirty it is. I probably have to run this one for a couple of weeks while shocking it every couple of days. And you could take the water that was in there and clean it up, but it takes a lot longer. It's a lot more money in chemicals. So this time I'm gonna go through and drain it, scrub it out, fill it with clean water, clean the filter, put the filter to it, and let it run for the rest of the summer, hopefully without any problems. Now I did do it the other way last year, or maybe year before that, where I left the water in it over winter like I did this last winter, and I went through and I shocked everything and filtered everything for a week to 2 weeks before everything cleared up and it was safe to swim. So of course the first thing I'm gonna do is hook up my garden hoses to my two exterior drains on the pool. I've got one on this side, one on the other. It's gonna take about a day or so to completely drain this, even with two hoses. So I'm gonna hook it up, run them to my pond and possibly gardens. If you don't have a pond or garden, just try to run the water as far away from the pool on the downhill side that you can. If you wanna hook up a garden hose to your exterior drains on your soft-sided pool, you're gonna need these adapters. Now my pool came with one, but I needed two, and of course I can't find the one that it came with. So I went ahead and ordered these off of Amazon. They're anywhere from $8 to $12, depending on what seller you get it from. I paid the $12 because it was in a distribution center close to me, so I was able to get it the very next day. Here is the part number and barcode if you want to look it up and order it for yourself. These threads on the exterior drain are not the same as the garden hoses threads. That's why you need this adapter. Plus, there is a plug inside the pool, and this will push that plug up and out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and attach it to my garden hose first so that I'm not leaking any water whenever I put the adapter in, because there is a swivel, so I will be able to screw it in with this already on. There's a swivel on this as well, so I'm gonna make sure and tighten it using this piece. Get it in there nice and snug, and then let's see if we can. As you can see, I had to dig out to be able to even get it up to the drain, even more on the other side. So I'm actually going to take a little bit more of the sand out here so that I'm getting a better angle when I put this in. There we go. There we go. And we're getting a little leakage, but it's not too horrible. Well, maybe it is horrible, but it is what it is. At least some of it's running into the hose. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Still getting a little bit of leakage, but that's better than it all leaking through there. Let's go check the pond, see if we're getting some good flow. Yep. So it should, with two hoses, take somewhere around, I don't know, 24 hours or so for it to completely drain. Oh crap. This one popped off. Might pop off again. Those threads don't seem to be, maybe they're not exactly the same, or just not getting it on very well, but at least the hose is connected now. So next up, go through and scrub the sides is a pain in the butt to do when it's dry, so you want to make sure and do it while it is still wet, while there's still water in it. And you could empty it and then spray the sides and scrub it, but this should be a little easier. So let's go ahead and get the scrubbing the sides. You may have noticed in my time lapse that I went around and scrubbed the top edge as well as the bottom curve in the pool to help break up as much of the algae as I could. Now my pool is really nasty and really bad, so if your pool is as bad as mine, you want to make sure that you are checking your hose flow, that it is draining and draining well, because what can happen is, can't see it because it's so disgusting, but down there a lot of stuff can get around the drain and clog it up. So about once every hour or so I will go through and scrub the inside of that drain just to make sure that I'm knocking any debris away from it and that it's continuing to drain well into my pond. And as you can see, this hose is draining real well. Now this one, it's doing all right, but it could be better. The reason this one's not doing as well is because there is a kink in the line that I can't really get out because of the angle to attach the hose to that exterior drain. So this is a pretty good flow for this hose, and as long as it doesn't get worse than that, should be fine. Well, we're down about 6 inches and it's been 2.5 hours. So it's definitely going to take the rest of the day into the wee morning hours to get this completely drained. Once it gets down to the last 6 inches or so, we will scrub the floor, clean everything out, and refill it. Well, it's the next day. It's been about 22 hours. We've got about a foot, maybe a little more than a foot left of water. You can actually see the drains now. That one's still working, even though the cap is partially on. This one I was able to get it back. You can actually see if I can zoom in there, the adapter I bought sticking through. So we've got a few more hours to get this drained out, and then I will scrub and scoop up all of the algae that's left at the bottom. As you can see, I did scrub the walls, but didn't do the greatest of job, but we'll get all that cleaned up and get it filled next. Well, we've slowed down to a trickle in both hoses from both drains. And at this rate, I'm thinking we're probably running like 20 gallons an hour. And when you've got 1,000 gallons left, I think that's about how much we have left, maybe a little less. It's gonna take forever. And mainly that's because there's just not enough pressure anymore. So I got out a submersible pond pump. It does not have threads. It's the press fit kind. But I think with those adapters I bought, I can push it over it, hold it in place, and probably pretty quickly drain the rest of the pool. So we're gonna try that next. That may or may not work. I don't know, it might not. I'll probably hold it on there like that. Just depends on how long it takes. Oh, that's not gonna work. Even if I get in there, which is fine, but I kind of wanted to avoid that just because it's nasty. Whatever. Definitely flowing faster than that trickle, but I'm gonna have to stand here for a while. I'm gonna try that thing and see if it works. All right, let's try this and see if it will hold it in place. All right, so it's most definitely holding it in place, but as you saw earlier, it doesn't go all the way down, so it's shooting some off to the sides. Let's go check at the pond and see if it is pushing enough water out for this to be plausible. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good flow rate. Think we're gonna let it do this for a little bit, see if we can't get it all drained in the next hour or so. In total, it took about 36 hours to completely drain it from the drains, from the pump, and from me, as you can see here, going through and scooping it up with the pitcher. I get some help from my boys here as well, and we get it all out, probably 200, 300, 400 gallons that was left. Once we got that all out, went through, push broomed all of the algae and scooped it all out, and then went through with some towels and sopped up whatever was left with these old towels. These aren't good towels. Don't use good towels for this. Went through with these old towels, sopped all this up, and wrung it out over the side. Took a couple hours to do all this, but in the end, it ended up looking really good, and we could start getting it filled. It is a labor intensive to completely empty a pool, even with the drains. The drains, as you can see, are 3-4 inches above the bottom of the pool, so it is not going to drain all of the water out through those drains. So had to go through and sop it all up with the towels, and then of course you saw me bailing before that with a pitcher as well. But now we're going to fill the pool, and while we fill the pool, go through and try to get some of these creases that are on the bottom smoothed out. I don't know how effective it's going to be to get those smoothed out because they have been in there for a couple of years, so they may not want to go back to flat, but we will see. That pole, as you can tell, is taller than all the others. That's because it used to be lower than all the others, and I put a paver under it and it raised it too much. So first, before I start filling it, I'm going to dig out that paver and then reset the pole. Maybe have it a little bit higher, but not that much higher. And then start filling the pool. So let's go ahead and get to that. And I also, whoa, almost fell. And I also need to go through where I dug out for the drains and need to put that sand back. So I will do that and reset that pool, and then we'll start getting the pool filled. I ended up actually having to go through while the pool was filling and adjust 4 more of the poles off to the right and get them a little higher to get that whole side a little more level with the rest of the pool. It actually ended up working really well, and you kind of see that in this next time lapse. And I still want that paver in there because I'm missing the bottom cap to this pole, and it was sinking without it. It looks like that's going to be about the right level, so that paver's not going to move. All right, let's start getting that pool filled. So I went through here and tried to work out as many of the wrinkles in the bottom of the pool as possible, and they were just too well set in from being under all that pressure for the last 2 years. I got a few of them a little better, but if we can live with it for the last 2 years, we can live with it for the rest of this summer. And then as you can see, I went through and of course scrubbed as much as possible to get it completely broken up and the floor clean. In the past, I have only used one faucet and a string of hoses to fill the pool, and it took 24 hours. This time only took me 12 hours because I used 2 faucets and multiple hoses to get it done in half the time. Now that the pool is filled, there's a couple more things I need to do to get this completely ready for us to swim. Now, we could swim in it right now because it is clean enough and obviously full enough and clear enough. But there's a few maintenance items I need to do. One of those is putting this waterproof tape that I ordered off Amazon specifically for pools on all of the tops of this sleeve. And you can't really tell here, but come over here to like one of these. You can see it's starting to come apart and the fibers are starting to fray and come off. So by throwing some of this tape on there, it has stopped that from happening. This has been on here for about a year. I didn't do the whole pool, just the ones that needed it. And now the whole pool needs it. So we're gonna go through and get those taped off to keep that from happening. And then after that, we will go through, clean out the pump, and put new hoses on it, get it attached, and then get it running. Well, I'm out of tape. I think I had 4 rolls, and it's like 3.5 of these per roll. So I'm gonna have to order some more rolls, but it gives you an idea of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So let's go ahead and move on to the pump. So the kids decided they wanted to get in, even though I haven't hooked up the pump yet, which is fine because this is fresh water. I'm sure the chemicals are fine on it. Lots of chlorine here in the city, but they're in here having a good time. Right after I filled it, even though the pool temp is probably like 60 degrees. 3, 2, 1, big splash. Yeah! Woo! This is what happens when you set up the pool and the kids haven't had it for 7-8 months. They really want to swim. All right, now we're finally going to go ahead and get the pump set up for this season. My hoses that I got last year, literally less than a year old, completely disintegrated. So I got a new set of those I'm going to put on there, and hopefully that won't happen again, but they're cheap enough if it does. Also gonna probably replace these 2, even though I don't think they're cracked or anything yet. I have some new ones, so I'll go ahead and replace those. And then I'm gonna take the head, the valve head, off of the sand reservoir because I've been getting sand in my pool. Last year I got a little sand in my pool. I think it's coming from the filter. Actually, I know it's coming from the filter. I've seen it come out of the return. So I am going to loosen all this up, pull the valve head off, and there is a tube that goes down with little filters on the end, like 20 of them or something. And those were loose when I put this together and I tightened them all. So it's possible they've loosened back up or maybe broken or something. So we're gonna take a look at those and see what condition they're in and see if maybe that's why we're getting sand in the pool. Then put it back together and get the thing fired up. That you can't just like partially take this apart. You actually have to fully take it apart because it won't. You could probably get it to come off, but I don't want to risk breaking it, so take it apart. Sand doesn't look horrible. I'll let you guys get down in there. So the blue is not algae or mold or anything. That's actually some of the sand is that color. See, you can see as we, and really what's on top, that is not really the sand that, you know, that is stuff that has come from outside the pool that's ended up being sucked into the filter. That's not the sand. The sand is this green, bluish stuff, and it is still pretty good. I've heard that this sand will last up to 20 years and that it doesn't really ever stop being able to filter. So what I'm gonna have to do is dump all this sand into a container and then pull this piece out that has the filters on the bottom and check them and see, make sure that they're not broken or clogged or anything. Oh, there's no way to grab onto it.
Algae room.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig it out. It's all compacted, of course.
Today.
So I was telling my buddy here, I think about 80 pounds in here. Maybe, I don't know, it may have been less. I can't remember. You can go back and watch my old video when I filled it. I used 2 bags and I thought they were 40 pounds a piece, but maybe they were 20. I don't remember. And what is that? Interesting. Different color than everything else.
Green.
I got enough out that I can take this apart and get it out. I don't know. It looks like everything is working the way it should. And none of them are loose. None of them are broken. So I'm not exactly sure why it was spitting sand in the pool. Maybe it was just, you know, like we saw at the top when we first opened this, maybe sand that had been introduced to the pool got sucked into the filter, and that was what was getting pushed out. I don't know. I don't know, but it looks fine. I will show you guys. And
Dark blue jacket.
You guys will see that it looks like it's working the way it should, although it does look like that these little louver things may be allowing some sand through. Yeah, I'll show you guys real quick.
Nope.
All right. Everything is tight. Everything looks normal. I don't think I'm going to take it apart to pull it out. That's really just, I think, a waste of time at this point. And so we'll just fill it back with sand, hook everything up, and hopefully it all works right. Now I'm going to rinse out the inside of this filter assembly thing to kind of push anything out that might be in there that might clog it or get pushed into the pool. You know, I think I've changed my mind. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take it apart and get it out just to make sure that it's as clean as it can be. I mean, look, you guys can probably see how much of it's left in there. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's what these are designed to do. But I want to get them cleaned out so that it's like starting with the new pump again. Look at that.
How
Perfect
many
fit.
are on there? 12?
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
12. Yeah.
Whoa. And as you guys can see, it's just a hollow body manifold.
Oh, they're really...
So we'll get this nice and washed and cleaned off. Same thing with these. And look, there's actually slits on the top too and the bottom. So we'll get all this cleaned out and reinstalled. I should probably like get an old toothbrush or something and clean this, but I am not that concerned about it. So this is as good as it's gonna get. So you guys missed me washing the rest of everything out. I washed all those filter ends, rinsed out the tank, washed the sand, rinsed the sand for a good like half an hour or more, and got most of it out. It's not perfectly clean, as you can see, but it's way better than it was before. So we're now going to put all the sand back in after we reassemble this guy. So it's been cleaned, stick it down in there, and then we reattach all these down in the tank with this in here. So drop a couple of them in there, screw them in like so, get them nice and snug. Just work your way around until you get them all in. All right, now that those are all in and snug, you want to get it down in the center. It will kind of self-seat where it needs to be. I have a plastic ring somewhere that you're supposed to use that caps this and goes around the edge of this, keeps this in the center, and you pour your sand down in it that way. I have, of course, misplaced it, so I'm gonna try getting it as centered as possible using the valve body to line it up. There we go. There we go, I think. Yeah, we'll be able to get it lined up on there once we get the sand in it. I'm going to kind of improvise here and put this over it to keep the sand from going down in it, a lot like that cap would work. And then I'm just going to hand fill it with the sand. Because I don't have that ring, I want to be real careful to not unseat this filter tube apparatus manifold thingamajig. So that I don't get sand around the seal of the valve. I'm going to rinse everything off to make sure that's not an issue. Okay. All right. And you don't want to forget your drain cap back on before you start running it, of course. Hopefully valve body goes on there without an issue. Yep, there we go. Sweet. And then, yeah, you just get it set in the same place it was. Goes back on the same way that we took it off. It has this ridge here, and that's where these line up to. That way you're not putting it on in just some random place. They've got that ridge to guide you there. All right, it's nice and snug. Equal distance on both sides between these, I think. Close to it. Yeah, all right. Put our little protectors back on. And now we can hook all the hoses up and get it running. All right, got my first replacement hose here. This small one came with gaskets. I've got these gaskets that are already on here, so I don't think I'm going to use these ones. But yeah, nice and snug. Still making a good seal. This is a tough seal to make. It kind of forces this hose to reshape. You can get the threads lined up. There we go. It'll force its way into where it needs to go. So make sure you look at your owner's manual to know what hoses go where. It's pretty simple on this particular unit. It says in, out, and drain, which is where you backwash and rinse from. All right, I think that one's good. Let's get the bigger hoses on. I actually think this hose is fine. I'm not really going to switch a hose out on one that's not cracked and broken yet. In fact, I think this is the original, and I think it's still okay. So, out, of course. Make sure you got your rubber gasket seal thing in. And I've already set this to backwash because I do not want it immediately flushing into the pool in case there is anything in there. I want to make sure and get all that pumped out first.
Is this hose okay?
No. This one is toast. So I want to throw it away. Don't want to keep any broken hoses around, especially if it's just a small crack that it's hard to find. You'll hook it up and then realize that it's busted. Our new hose hooked up to the valve here. As you guys have seen here and in my other videos, I zip tied this to the side of the pool just to make it easier to deal with and not be floating around here on the ground. You do what you want with yours. Some people zip tie them to the poles. I don't like them that far away from the drains because then you need two different hose sizes. This way, you can use the same hose size. I probably could have used one of the shorter hoses I had, but we're gonna go ahead and use this longer one. Just gonna move my pump a little bit to make it easier to get attached. All right, so my new hose, which is actually a bilge hose that you can get at like Lowe's or Home Depot. You gotta cut them, and they're sectioned in 1 foot sections, so makes it nice. You can cut it to the size that you want, but they're way cheaper than ordering the ones that are supposedly for these that fail just as fast. Nope. All right, got that open. Now we're gonna pull our plugs. Starting to flow in. We'll go ahead and pull the other one after. Tighten up the drains. Oh no, going everywhere. That's good though. Yep, good pressure. Got it flowing in there. Want to make sure this one's turned on. There we go. Let's go ahead and close that for now. I'm gonna hook another hose up to this to help drain, get the water drained away from the pool. Looks like we got a leak right there. Where's that coming from? Right there. Or is it this? Oh no, it's coming from this. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a gasket on this. Not sure if that's necessary or not, but I think it might help with that leak. Well, phone died while I was fixing the leak on this. It is not leaking anymore. Everything's tightened up, sealed up. Same thing on the pump. I backwashed for literally like 30 seconds. The sand was so clean from me cleaning it that I didn't really have to backwash it much at all. And now it's running. It's running off the generator. I will get an extension cord out here from the shore power to be able to clean this 24/7. I usually run my pump 24/7 at the beginning of the season. Like I said, right now I'm running it off the generator probably for the first couple of days before I get it on shore power, because I don't want to pay for the gas to run this 24/7. As I was editing this video, I had a viewer comment on my backwashing video about how they were getting sand in their pool and they couldn't diagnose it and figure it out. So I wanted to make sure and speak to them here. And basically, as you guys saw in this earlier part while I was cleaning the sand and cleaning out the filter pump, that I had a bunch of debris of extra sand that wasn't the filter sand, that came from debris that got in the pool. Mostly sand that I used to level around the pool, and then some dirt, and then other organic material that had broken down and got into the pump. And that, in my case, is what was pushing out into the pool. Now, when you search this on Google, they tell you that you've got one of your little filter pieces is broken, or they're not screwed in all the way, or you've got that pipe that goes down into the sand filter, maybe split or have some sort of crack or something. That wasn't the case with me. Now, that might be the case with someone else out there. You definitely want to check all that. I'm glad I checked all that and made sure everything was good whenever I went through and cleaned everything out. And in my case, again, that wasn't the case. I had perfect structure. Everything was fine. Nothing was cracked or broken. Nothing was loose. Mine was because of all the debris that had gotten into the pool over the last several years while we use this pump. So it is important that if you're getting sand pumped in, especially sand colored sand, not the blue-green stuff that's you use for your filter pumps, if that's getting pumped into your pool from your filter, it's time to take the filter apart, rinse that sand, rinse it real well. I didn't get to show you guys here in this video, but I spent over an hour rinsing, basically filling that tub up. All of that other sand would kind of float to the top, dump that out, fill it again. I did that like 10-15 times, and I still could have probably done it another 10-15 times, but it was good enough that now, of course, you can see how nice the pool is. And of course, I have one of my kids loves to jump in a mud puddle afterwards and then get in, and has already covered the bottom in more sand and dirt. So this time when I go through and I clean all this out, I am not going to be using any sort of vacuum that sucks all this dirt and puts it into the filter, because then it'll get in there and make it spit more sand in. So my plan is next time, and of course what I've been using for the last couple of years, is one of those vacuums that has the water hose attachment that you hook up to it, and you may have to drain some water from your pool or backwash some of it out, so you're not overfilling it. But you can use that and have that water rush into it and pick up all this dirt and everything, and then you can clean it out of the pool and it doesn't go into your pump. So I hope that helps out the commenter on that video, and hopefully you can diagnose what's going on and why sand's going in there. Either, you know, make sure you check the color. If it's the blue sand that's going in there, the actual filter sand, then you probably have some sort of crack or seal that's not working right somewhere in the valve body, in the down tube and all those filters and everything. If not, then it's probably debris that has made its way into your filter, and you're gonna have to clean your sand. But that's it for this video. Got the pool drained, cleaned, pump hooked up, all the other small things that we had to do. So I apologize if this has been kind of a long video, but thank you for clicking, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video, it really helps the algorithm. Don't forget to comment, that also really helps the algorithm get this video out to more people. I know there are a ton of people this time of year looking for answers to the questions they have about how to clean the pool, how to get it set up, how to deal with the pump, all that good stuff. So if you're one of those people, make sure you share this so that other people that you know will be able to see it. Thanks again for watching. Billy D, pooling on out of here. We'll see you in the next one.